Хорошо слышно.
So we're starting. Of the Global Disruptive Tech Challenge, Restoring Landscapes in the ROC Region 2021. And the project participants will present their projects. No sound coming in. We cannot hear you. No sound coming in. No sound coming in. Cannot hear you, Mark Cabo. No sound coming in from Mark Cabo. We cannot hear you, Marhaba. No sound coming in. 1 minute, colleagues. Yes, we're trying to deal with the issue. Yes, for some reason. So there seems to be some issue with the system. Now we can hear you well. So once again, as you know, the Challenge Week is a 5-day online event with the participation of distinguished jury from around the world who will choose 4 participants, 4 projects for the. Allow me to say once again that The Global Disruptive Tech Challenge was organized by the World Bank with, with the COWEB program, with the support of the World Bank and also European Union, Switzerland, and the UK. The challenge is also a part of the Global World Bank program on sustainable landscapes, the so-called Resilient Central Asia, and implemented by the Kazakh German University. Before presenting the members of the jury to you and the overall plan of the session, as well as the participants, allow me to give the floor for the welcoming word to Ms. Barbara Janusz-Pawleta, Deputy Rector on International Cooperation of the DKU. Please, Barbara, over to you. Thank you very much. I think it will be better for me to speak Russian, although I'm really excited that we've went so far and that the first pilot tech challenge is reaching its final stage, and our global jury will allow us to select the best projects within the tech challenge. The fact that we have participants from 24 countries participating in the challenge, including from India, Canada, the US, Iran, Germany, Greece, so all over the place, from Russia. And I'm really glad about that because it demonstrates that we are not alone in the Aral Sea crisis. It is indeed a global issue. And the people who have knowledge, expertise, and know-how can join their efforts, share their knowledge, and seek innovative solutions together. On my personal behalf, I would like to thank the World Bank and all the partners of the COWEB project, including our global partners, the GLF and Plug and Play, because I deeply believe that the challenges like we're living through now, the pandemic, only highlight the importance of innovations, education, and science, which are supposed to solutions to local issues in the global context. So we should not be sitting in our universities or research agencies, but look for global knowledge, global issues, and address them jointly, exchange knowledge and information, and forge joint solutions. This is why I'm really glad that we have a global jury willing to review the potential projects for the implementation in the ROC area. And of course, we might know more about the details of the crisis, but it's always better to have an external view on the problem, on a challenge, to be able to identify the best solutions. So once again, this is our first try. This is a pilot project, and I'm really pleased that we've become the platform for implementing it, because the universities are the venues or the platforms for science and promoting education. And I think that universities will be, once again, all the best and good luck to all the participants. I'm really sure that the projects will find their place in the region and let the best win. Thank you very much, Barbara, for your warm words, for your motivating words to our participants. And as we say, the most important thing is not to win, but to participate. Allow me to briefly review the session, some technical announcements. While presenting your projects in Russian or English, please choose the right channel. You will see the globe icon in the bottom of your screen. So please, between the language, switch between the languages and use the one that is most convenient for you. And within today's session, we will have 5 presentations on sustainable forestry. The names of the projects and the presenters will be presented to you right before the presentations. I'm urging all the speakers to stick to their time limit. Just a second. So once again, please stick to your limited time. Each project will have about 10 minutes, including 5 minutes for the actual presentation and 5 minutes for Q&A. In 10 minutes, you will hear a bell sound. Baljan. So once again, you will hear the bell sound, which means that your time is over. And I will turn off the speaker in the course of 1 minute. Please allow me to introduce to you the members of the jury, the distinguished members of our jury. First of all, Mr. Kojimura Talipov, Deputy Head of the State Committee of the Republic of Uzbekistan on Ecology and Environmental Protection. Mr. Abzal Baltabayev, Head of Forests and Protected Areas of the Department of Forestry and Wildlife Committee of the Ministry of Ecology, Geology, and Natural Resources of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Mr. Abay Jabasov, Head of the Ecology Department of the Executive Committee of the International Fund for Saving the Aral Sea in the Republic of Kazakhstan. Dr. Kristina Todorik, IPDRE and professor of Tottori University in Japan. Dr. Eduardo Rojas, professor of the Faculty of Agronomy in the Polytechnic University of Valencia. Ms. Saskia Roos-Makink, strategy lead on nature-based solutions at the Palladium Make It Possible, as well as the founder of Africa Funded Company and CEO. And distinguished Mr. Vadim Sokolov, head of the Agency for Projects Implementation of the International Fund for Saving the Aral Sea. So these were our jury members. Their knowledge and experience and expertise will allow us to choose the best projects and bring innovations and new solutions to the Aral Sea area. Not to make you wait any longer, let me present the projects to you. Dear speakers, please allow time for interpretation. If you speak very quickly, this will also prevent the members of the jury to understand what you're saying. So once again, please do not use the chat. It's only open for jury members and resolving whatever technical issues. Also, during the presentations, if you have any jury members, if you have any questions in the course of the presentations, please raise your hand. In the bottom of your screen, you see the reaction icon, and I will give you the floor to pose your question after each of the presentations. The question should be very precise, to the essence, not more than 3 sentences. And I wish all of you good luck. And it is my pleasure to give the floor to the team of the National University of Uzbekistan. It consists of 2 people, Ms. Natalia Kinchina and Azamad Azimov. Their project is Their title is delicious. It's called the Errol Honey Gardens. So please, the floor is yours. So first of all, please look at these pictures. This is Kharkov today, and on the right you can see what it can look tomorrow. Of course, it's a rhetorical question. What you like better? So our project aims to establish plantations of various honey-bearing plants instead of degraded lands or not developed lands. We offered to cover these territories with blooming gardens. Our project is not only about innovative technology for plant growing. Our honey gardens are a good way to combine the needs of nature and humans. It is also a way to address many local issues in the region. So we plan to change the environment as well as socially and economically. Our project has several very important components. The first and the most important of them is the actual establishment of mixed plantations of honey-bearing plants. We propose to establish communities of trees, shrubs, grasses, different plants with different vegetation periods. And we expect that in 5 to 6 years, they will become self-sustaining ecosystems. These systems will include local salt, heat, frost resistant plants, and they will all coexist together. Next slide, please. The next component of the project is the development and testing of technologies to increase germination. The majority of these plants are wild flora, and it's planting or germinating them is quite a complicated process. The next component of the project is devoted to developing a strategy and technology on tree planting against the background of acute water stress. Next slide. The next large component of the project, and of course it is connected with the previous ones, is the development and implementation of water efficient irrigation technologies, as well as water collection technologies. So our project, we hope, will become a platform for testing melon technologies, including agricultural technologies, garden development, energy, etc. Slide, please. Next slide, please. Outputs of the project. They have significant social, economic, and environmental role. So new jobs and new incomes for the population. The project will allow change the landscape. It will increase the productivity of agricultural land. It will facilitate business activity in the region, and we are sure that we're confident that our project will help to turn this devastated region into a flourishing and wealthy region in about 10 years. As to the business model, it is based on the effective cooperation of the government and the private sector. So it's a public-private partnership. So as the components I've already mentioned, the establishment of nursery and gardens, establishment of beehive plantations, and then this will allow to develop other types of businesses on the local level: ecotourism, agrotourism, medical tourism, cultural tourism, growing of medicinal herbs, apitherapy, consulting business for the population on teaching local communities on these types of businesses. Our project is very good for scaling up. The area of our gardens will expand every year from the Amuraya Delta up to the desert zone, and we expect that the initial investment will return in 5 years. It's an eco and socially friendly project for many generations to come. We've conducted a SWOT analysis and identified the strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats. So among our strengths, we identified that it's an attractive idea. It is so attractive that it can become a national program, and even a new brand can emerge. The Aral Kalpakstan honey. It's we use the integrated approach. It is based on public-private partnership, and it's very suitable for local conditions. As among opportunities, we include mental support and striving to improve life. Thank you very much for your attention. We are ready for your questions. Thank you very much, dear Natalia and Zamat. Are there any questions from other members of the jury? We have about 3 minutes for the questions. If there are no questions, I will, if you have a question, please turn your mic on and pose a question. Yes, please. Good evening.
Sorry. Thank you very much for your presentation. I really enjoyed the model to turn, especially beekeeping, into a profitable model that is multi-beneficial. I was wondering about the markets in honey and how you relate to that. Can you tell a bit about the current market for selling honey in your region?
The honey will be sold locally, and maybe it can be exported as well, because it will be eco-friendly, it will be organic, and so we think that it will be of interest to international buyers as well. Any questions? Christina, please, you wanted. In what category of landscape you will be testing your model? I really do think that the model is interesting, but the question is, there are different types of ecosystems, and so what ecosystems you're planning to test it on? Thank you very much for your question, Christina Nikolaevna. We plan to work in the Republic of Kyrgyzstan. We have conducted multiple research in the same area on soil reclamation condition. So we can say that we've been working in the area for about 10 years. So we've cooperated in the region with IBUS, with UNDP, and we will not start our project, will not implement our project in the irrigated agriculture area. We plan to start it around reserves and protected areas in the Amudarya Delta. So this corridor, our gardens will become a network. They will not be connected with each other. They will be located like cells around protected areas. As we mentioned before, they will be based on wild flora. Maybe in the future we will use decorative plants as well. We will be using Jidda and Melilot initially, and then maybe we'll switch to some other plants. So thank you very much, dear Natalia and Azamat. So thank you for sticking to your time. We now go to the second presentation. Baljan, could you please? So the project is called the Regenerative Agroforestry and Silvopasture for Landscape Restoration. So please, the team from which is headed by Neil Spackman, Mehmed Buksi, and Nikora Isamidinova. So you have 10 minutes. Can we present the presentation ourselves? It will be easier for us this way. And our presentation will be in English. Okay, so we can start. Yes, you can.
we will be developing and commercializing the products from these agroforestry schemes to provide economic livelihoods from them and help provide assistance to local farmers to transition from the cotton and wheat farming. And lastly, the fourth phase or component of the scheme is reaping the benefits of the whole system and rediverting the saved water back into the soil itself and into the larger Aral Sea basin. So the key aspect for our proposal is selection of the right combination of crops that would respond to the challenges that of the region. And one of the potential solutions that we have identified is mulberry that can be combined either with silvopasture and or alley cropping with annual and perennial plants and allow us to have regenerative food and fiber sheds. And why is it effective? Well, because mulberry is a native tree that is already abundant across the region in Central Asia. And it's also tremendously productive and known for its environmental and health benefits. It is also able to support silk production, animal fodder, and food production. So as you can see here on the slide, the key technologies, the nature-based technologies that we're proposing are actually already there. It is just a matter of utilizing them in the right way. So these are the animals, for the silvopasture solution, the trees, the fruit, and also the local know-how of the local artisans in the way that they utilize these products. And all of this would be enhanced by specific AI support or specific technologies to maximize the benefits of the entire system. We have already worked on similar problems across the world at the nexus of climate and technology. Some of the examples that we can talk about more a bit later during the Q&A session is the regenerative agriculture that has been set up by my team member, Neil, in the Saudi desert in Al-Baida, also establishing a similar mesquite agroforestry scheme in Salton Sea, which is also facing similar challenges and problems as the Aral Sea. We have used technology to identify and conserve rainforest biodiversity and also predict resource availability for herders in Senegal. And lastly, our team brings with it an uncommon experience from both agroforestry, technology, and business scaling. Neil Spackman is the founder of Regenerative Resources and has extensive experience creating regenerative ecosystems across the world. Mohammed Wuxeya has experience scaling organizations and teams in Germany, Turkey, and Tunisia, and is currently leading an engineering collective that specializes in using technology for sustainable development. And myself, Nigora, I'm a sustainable development practitioner from Uzbekistan with a global experience, having worked at the nexus of technology, development, data, and policy in the United States, France, and Central Asia. And what we bring with us is this core question on how can we sustainably support local communities through the right mix of technology, ecology, and business. And thank you very much for your attention, and we're looking to engaging with you.
Thank you, Nigora and the team. Спасибо еще раз. Я, наверное, предложу такой вариант. Я соберу два вопроса от членов.
I will probably get 2 questions from the jury members, and Nigora, then you will answer them. Markabo, for some reason, I cannot pose questions in the chat. Yes, Christina, then you can ask your question now, maybe. There is one more question from Eduardo as well.
Can we answer the first question first?
Okay.
Neil, would you like to go ahead?
For the first one?
Yes,
Sure. So if we're looking at causes, my understanding is the primary cause for the Aral Sea's evaporation has been the diversion of water to cotton and wheat growing, where these are monocrops that are extremely water intensive, especially in places like Karakalpakstan. What we developed for the Salton Sea was a native agroforestry to replace alfalfa growing. Alfalfa consumes more water in California than any other organism. And we'll be launching the prototype for this system next year, but we have an agroforestry that uses native mesquites that we think will cut water usage by 98% while maintaining farmers' profitability. And that's in Southern California. And so the approach is that we have to cooperate with nature and have systems that maintain ecological function. And if we do that, we're going to get amazing results. So I'm not saying we can get a 98% reduction in water usage in Karakalpakstan, but certainly we can do better than the current monocropping systems that have drained the Aral Sea and caused the disaster that is unfolding.
Thank you, Neil. We have practically 30 seconds. Eduardo, if you can make it.
Dobre, and thank you. I wanted just to highlight a very interesting approach to link it also with the social, with the community. And my comment or question would be around the issue of the, I imagine, without knowing the very details of the RLC, the main issue is cannot only be the drainage for intensive agriculture. There's also as well the lack of infiltration, as vast areas are not cultivated, and the strong rain and meltwater just is not profitable use. So infiltration may be an important issue to include in this idea, as infiltration will ensure that through groundwater the recharge of the RLC will happen. Superficial water disappears frequently just by evaporation.
Yep. Eduardo, take this as a comment, as their time is already up. I'm sorry, we have to move to another presentation as we're having another session.
Can you give me 30 seconds?
30 seconds, okay, 30 seconds, yeah, but please be aware that this is not fair towards us.
The system we built in Albeida, which gets less than 50 millimeters of rain a year, we used 18,000 cubic meters in establishing the system, but we infiltrated over 50,000 cubic meters. So we had almost a 3-to-1 increase in groundwater reserves off of that system that we developed, right? So it is a holistic approach for the hydrology and culture and economy, and it's a very holistic approach that we're proposing here.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you very much. I'm done. Thank you so much.
Спасибо всем. Мы переходим к следующей презентации. Следующим у нас выступает команда из двух участников, Князев Илья и Сонина Наталья. Они нам расскажут про свой проект, про талая вода для орошения посевов леса, как формирующиеся ледяные башни создают необходимый запас пресной воды для полива растений в период вегетации. Пожалуйста, слово вам. У вас 10 минут.
Спасибо. Good afternoon, dear jury and participants of this wonderful contest. I'm sorry, but I will just tell presentation in Russian. Меня зовут Князев Илья, я из России, и мы с моим партнером Наташей Сониной хотим рассказать вам о проекте.
I'd like to tell you about the project, which will help enhancing the degrading landscapes in the Aral Sea area. So the name of the project is Meltwater for Irrigating Plants in the Forest. So this project is about using a simple technology for accumulating water and then using it for irrigation of trees and plants and other plants. When I hear about the Aral Sea catastrophe, I remember a scene from a movie that I've seen in the kindergarten, that I've seen while being a child, clear blue sky and a ship standing in the desert. I was impressed by it so much that when a kid, I very often thought about how is it possible to change the situation to bring the sea back to this ship. And when I learned about the tech challenge, I thought to myself that I should participate in by all means because I think I know what to do and how to improve the situation. So allow me to share this idea with you. I was always fascinated by this region with its climate, with a very hot summer and very cold winters like in Siberia. And so the idea came to me, why not to accumulate water during the winter period and then use it in the spring and summer for irrigation during the vegetation period. We were inspired by an Indian engineer, Panchuka, who used the natural river discharge, and formed ice stupas in the north of India. So we've taken their idea, their principle as a foundation. And the only issue is this, that the region only has a plain relief. There are no mountains. So we propose to use pumps, electricity powered or off-grid generator powered pumps. So the ice stupas of the minimum height of 6 meters can be used for the radius of 86 meters. If we're talking about 10-meter ice stupas, we can use them for irrigating more than 560 trees. In order to accumulate such a large ice stupa, we'll need about 4 weeks, which is not very long. Using the project management principles, we've split our project into 3 steps, 3 phases. During the first phase, our project with a grant will choose a site for building a demo ice stupa or 6-meter high tower, debug the technology, and perform the calculations. During the second phase, with the support of the local authorities, we plan to form a team of local experts and build higher towers with them, maybe 2 or 3 towers, and then replicate the technology and teach local enthusiasts the technology. During the third phase, each of the teams will build their own towers, and we will assist them by distance, taking the city of Arovsk as an example. By installing 17 to 18 such towers, we can establish a green belt around the city, and by this change the internal microclimate in the city, making it more convenient for living. And so by implementing these 3 phases in the course of 3 years, we can implement our project completely, fully. The water source for the project, or the water coming from the ice towers, can be used not only for irrigation, but for any type of human activity during summer, like intensive agriculture, fish farming, and also for household use. Our project will allow expanding the green covered zones along the rivers. We've investigated where our technology can be used also around the globe. And here you see the highlighted zones are the cold desert climate zones. And so we can be replicated there as well, quite efficiently. We understand this technology will not allow bringing the sea back to the ship that you've seen on the image, but I think it will bring our dream to life, bring our dream closer. And now my partner, Natalia Sonina, will be ready to answer your questions. Thank you very much. We have 4 minutes for Q&A. Dear jury members, please pose your questions. Once again, you can pose 2 questions at a time, and then our presenters will answer them. Eduardo, I think you had a question. You're muted. Eduardo, you're muted.
Sorry, my question would be regarding the cost that you calculate per hectare, and if you have considered alternative solutions, a small watershed or sewage water, as it is more used in the Near East for similar, warmer but similar conditions.
Of implementation. We have calculated that when we can scale the technology, for example, with this final step of introducing 18 towers around one city, the cost of one ice tower can be around 50 euro only. And if we only make one, it will cost 300 euros. But then we can reuse the pump and the generator, and so this is quite a sustainable construction. Regarding the like smaller constructions, of course, the smaller it is, the less effect it has on the environment. And we have experimented a little bit and observed the effect of smaller constructions, but of course, the bigger we make it, the longer, the more prolonged the effect will be. If I haven't completely answered, maybe Ilya can help me with some technical
May I ask a new question?
Sonina, there is one question in the chat which I will raise from Saskia Royce. What is the effect of using water in this region versus the initial region? И может еще последнее, то, что здесь написано, учитывали ли также вы засоленность почвы? Спасибо.
Илья, может быть, да, давай попробуем.
Ну, смотрите, наша технология, она обеспечивающая.
Is linked to water sources. So if there are no water sources or freshwater sources like a river or a lake, it will be very complicated to use this water because we'll have to desalinize it, or at least bring the mineralization down. But it can be also used for encapsulated seeds. Planting trees will allow raising the water table, and the water that will be accumulated during winter will not affect the water balance in the region significantly because it will be accumulated, it will not evaporate. It's like saved water, or like, so it will just stay there. It will stay in the same place, but it will not evaporate. Thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you, the jury members, for your questions. Let's move to the next presentation, which is Dr. Alim Isamidinov, which is, his project is called Biodegradable Nets and Seed Encapsulation for Landscaping the Deserts of the Aral Sea region. So, Doctor, over to you. You have 10 minutes exactly, not more than that. Dr. Alim, can you hear us? Please turn your mic on. So let's allow Dr. Alim to clear his technical issues, and we'll move to the next presentation, which is called Forestation by Growing Elaeagnus angustifolia and almond gardens for the development of the Aral Sea Basin. So the project is about using heat resistant and other plants. The project will be presented by Dr. Mural Ananuravan and Nuragdi Kamerev. So once again, you have 10 minutes.
Turkmenistan is being in the basin of the Aral Sea. Hope you hearing us well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
Please go ahead.
yeah, okay, that's good. If it's okay, I'm going to be presenting the presentation for Turkmenistan, this CSO, Obadeska Khizmat. In the territory of the Aral Sea basin of Turkmenistan, there's one of the major problems is limited water supply, severe weather conditions, meaning dry and hot, winds with salty sand and dust. So in this severe condition experience in land reclamation area of Aral Sea, bordering of Turkmenistan with Uzbekistan area, we have prepared a model where in joint work with the Ministry of Agriculture and Environmental Protection of Turkmenistan, in cooperation with the farmers and NGOs working in the environmental protection and forestry development in the country. They've developed a model where within the 10,000 square meters of area of just abundant lands, project will develop a new forestry model. The forestry model will be concentrating on salt-tolerant, drought-resistant trees and plants which could be used as a feed for animals, fodder and feed for animals, and also they could be used as a food for human consumption. So in starting the model or preparing the area, we plan on using growth stimulators because water is available, but it's around 3 grams salt with salt content. So salt, by using salty water, we're going to plant salt-resistant trees like Russian olive and licorice, amaranth plant. These are the types of plants that could be already tested in Dashagus province, and also they will produce human food, and also they will produce feed for the area living for the farmers living in that area. So this will contribute to the government program, which is developed for 2019 to 2025. Also, this will contribute to meat and food security in the area, beef supply, as there's growing demand for beef in the area, also in the neighboring countries, including Uzbekistan. So the model will demonstrate how to use limited water, meaning 2 times less water than it is permitted per hectare in Turkmenistan, which is around 8,000 tons per hectare, or 8,000 cubic meters, where project plans on using half of this amount by producing maximum yield from 1 hectare of the demonstration plot. This will show the farmers how the abundant lands could be used by covering also with plants and trees, and in between the trees, in between the rows, there will be crops like amaranth planted. Amaranth is kind of a plant that uses 3 times less water than, for example, cotton or lucerne or almost any other crop. It uses 3 times less water, and it produces even higher yield than any other fodder crops, and it is tested, it grows. So it's high, it's a legume plant. It improves soil quality with a root system by rhizobium bacteria in the soil by fixing nitrogen, from the air. Also, it produces green mass and seed as well. Seed can be used as human food as well. So the Russian olive in Turkmen history, there was no water, no conditions for growing, difficult conditions for growing food. People lived and survived only for Russian olive in Turkmenistan. And there's old ancient sayings about it. So this is one of the bases or cores of the project, where this olive tree improves the landscape in the area by creating more opportunity or chance for ecosystem to be developed in the area. More trees will reduce wind erosion and also reduce the wind, high salty wind with dust and sand moving. This was a problem in recent years in Turkmenistan. There was strong winds coming from Aral Sea area towards Turkmenistan. So Turkmenistan has decided in the project area where we have selected our model, 20,000 hectares to be turned into forestry area. It's the area called Butendag. And our project area is close to that area, but outside the Butendag area, but the landscape and the growing conditions are similar. So project will use...
У вас 3 минуты, вы не оставляете уже время на вопросы и ответы.
Yeah, 3 minutes
the
left.
last thing, project will use growth stimulators like biohumus. It's a vermicompost produced from cow manure, which will help to grow root systems of the plants and trees being planted in the area. Also reduces the evaporation. So these are the key points. Please go ahead if you have any questions. Thanks for allowing us to present our presentation.
Спасибо вам большое.
Thank you very much.
Да, вы нам, к сожалению, сказали, когда нужно.
Unfortunately, you didn't show us your presentation, and you didn't tell us where to change the slides. So once again, the jury members, you have some time for the questions. I have one question. What is the difference between your approach and traditional models? Because I know that Turkmenistan has been establishing tree plantations for several years now. Our approach is different in the way that in the same region, we will be using biohumus. And initially, we will plant the licorice. It's a medicinal herb, which is salt resistant. And third of all, it can grow with, it can be irrigated with mineralized water.
the growth stimulators is the key of the project, where it's not practiced yet in the area, like biohumus.
Можно задавать вопрос?
Да, давайте, пожалуйста, только у нас 30 минут, пожалуйста.
Да, я думаю, что я поддерживаю ваше предложение, поскольку я
I really
работала в
like your
Дашауской
idea
области.
because I've
Это
worked in
коротко. И у меня вопрос к
Dashaguz
вам.
province
Скажите,
myself.
пожалуйста.
Tell me, please, will the Ministry of Agriculture support you and co-fund the project?
Нас будет
First of all, the Forestry Department, the local Forestry Department will support us, and the Ministry of Agriculture and Environmental Protection will support us as well. As we mentioned in the very beginning of our presentation, we've developed this model together with them. I wish you all the best because I worked in the Dashaguz province many years. As you know, in Turkmenistan, they've built the Golden Asir lake, and so this model can be used along the Dashaguz Turkmenbashi highway. Mr. Ali Samedinov has joined us, or not. Could you tell us if you're here for me to be able to give you the floor for the presentation? So, please, over to you. Once again, the project is called Biodegradable Nets and Seeds Encapsulation for Landscaping the Deserts of the Aral Sea region. Once again, you have 10 minutes for your presentation. Can I present in Russian? Yes, of course. Yes. Dear colleagues, friends, good afternoon. I represent the International Innovation Center in the Aral Sea region with the president of the objectives of the project correlate with the 6 SDGs: no poverty, zero hunger, good health, climate action, life on land, and partnership for the goals. Next slide, please. The objectives of the project are considered innovative because we plan to produce biodegradable nets, which will use encapsulated seeds with biodegradable polymers, NPK elements, and swelling hydrogel to increase seed survival in various desert soils. It's an innovative method because it allows to save water, to boost the rate of reproduction of soil fertility. It also allows enhancing microbiological activity in soil, fosters soil formation and porosity, reduce the soil salinity, and allows landscaping and developing desert land. I've conducted research with pine. I used domestically produced hydrogel, which here you see the pictures of different phases of the project. So first using hydrogel, then vermiculite, and the test research showed very good results. So on this diagram, you see the actual capsule, which Here you can see its composition. So it's basically inside of it, you see the hydrogel, and then outside of it, there is a clay layer. These capsules can be produced with the special equipment, which we are currently procuring with the assistance of the Land Ministry. So these are multi-layer granules or capsules. First of all, they protect the seeds from pests and other plant diseases, and ensure sufficient amount of water for initial germination. Here you see the actual seed in the very center. Around it, you see the NPK elements, and then the hydrogel around it, and the clay on top of the capsule. So these capsules can be planted using drones. Currently, they're widely used in agriculture. This is the most efficient and the quickest way of planting. Here you see the process of planting and initial growing. On this slide, you see the net that we will generate by the capsules that will build out of the capsules. Based on biodegradable and water swelling hydrogels. We are currently working on decreasing the cost of producing these nets. It is another way of foresting desert landscapes and sand dunes, as well as grassless areas, not only in our country, but in other countries of Central Asia as well. So you have three. On this slide, you see how this net degrades after rain or dissolves after rain. And by dissolving into the sand, they fix it, the expected results. Is the establishment of nursery for coniferous and fast-growing plant species, covering hundreds of hectares with coniferous and fast-growing trees in a short period of time, fixing the moving sands, expanding the livestock population, and developing the cattle breeding industry in the region, improving the health of the local population and the standards of living, and fixing thousands of hectares of moving sand. This method, specifically using hydrogel, we all know that hydrogel is the most promising technology in agriculture, and they're also used in medicine and other sectors. Hydrogels allow saving energy by 40 to 80%, increasing yields by 40 to 60%, reducing water consumption 3 to 4-fold, and increasing fertilizer retention by 50 to 70%. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much, Doctor. I see several questions to you in the chat. You have 1 minute, 30 seconds to answer them. The first question is from Royce.
But one about survival rates of the plants. Are the nets also implemented by the drone? И второй вопрос касается, то есть общий вопрос. During the presentation... нет, это другой вопрос, это не вам касается. Пожалуйста, ответьте вот на этот вопрос, который я вам сейчас задала.
Повторите, пожалуйста, на русском.
Nets also implemented by the drones? Вы смогли услышать, да, вопрос?
Он здесь есть в чате?
Да.
Вопрос звучит так на русском языке.
Да, вопрос...
Мархаба, давай я быстро переведу.
Да,
посев с помощью дронов выглядит очень интересным, но интересует вопрос выживаемости семян. И второй вопрос – это сетки тоже будут, то есть укладываться с помощью дронов?
Нет. Насчет приживаемости семян, почему?
As to the survival, there is no doubt in their survival because the capsules are going to be very dry. As I showed you in the presentation, the seeds will be dry and the capsules will be dry as well. I will show you one of them. So these are the granules, the capsules. So on the outside, it has the hydrogel. As to the biodegradable nets, they will be installed. They can be installed manually and other ways. But drones can be used for installing the nets as well. It will depend on the landscape. Thank you very much, Dr. Samidinov. And I would like to thank the participants as well. That was the last presentation of the Sustainable Forestry session. I thank you all, dear participants, for your innovative ideas, for your effort, for your enthusiasm. And of course, I would like to thank the jury members for finding time in your tight schedules to review the projects. With this, I'm adjourning the session. And we'll give the floor to Baljan. She will tell us about her further steps. And I hope we will be able to make a group photo also. Unfortunately, we have an echo problem. Baljan wanted to inform you that the next session will start in 17 minutes and will be devoted to projects on agriculture and land management. It will start at 4:30 p.m. Please use the same link, but you can also just stay in the session and wait for the beginning of the session. Let's make the group photo. I ask all of you to turn your cameras on for us to be able to make a nice photo with all of you. My project is also supported by the GIZ. It is also supported by the Ministry of Innovation. Please smile. Let the best win. So thank you. I've taken several pictures. Once again, thank you very much, and see you in a couple of minutes. Use the brake efficiently. And Martin will be moderating the next session. Would you like to say something?
Thank you all. We will look forward to see you in about 15 minutes. We have great companies and a great jury. So thank you all. We'll see you in 15 minutes. Good job today.
Спасибо. Все, кто не выходит, просто выключите ваши микрофоны. Мы продолжаем по этой же ссылке.
So those of you who are just staying and not leaving the session, please turn your mics off and come back, or turn them on back on when we start the next session.
Sabır. Ma endi bu qoyalarda ham qatnashamanmi?